welcome back to the Ugly Chairs podcast. Once again, I'm joined by Caleb and Amy. So to start us off, fun little question.
Yes.
What is your go-to shoe choice?
So I have my everyday pair are Nike Blazers that I just wear all the time. But I have to say that my favorite shoe has changed over the last year. There's a long time where I swore off Crocs. I was like, I'm never going to wear those. And my brother got them for me for Christmas, and now I wear them every day.
In sport mode?
Sometimes. Although I get ridiculed for going in sport mode, so I try to avoid it, just all my athletic endeavors. So
okay, I don't know what sport mode is.
It's when the back strap is down.
Oh.
The croc lock.
For more.
Got you.
I didn't hear that one. That's a good one.
Four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive, yeah, that's a good one.
And do you wear socks with your Crocs?
I mix it up. It all depends. So like morning vibes, yeah, probably Crocs and socks. Later in the day, let's talk the summertime. We're feeling a little more casual. We're going out and about. Probably no socks. So I'm a very stylishly minded person. I'm not at all. That's why I say that.
Crocs
Okay.
and Blazers.
Let's please move on. What about your shoes?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's probably going to go downhill from here. One thing you have to know about me is, like, I'm not really looking at the brand. What's super important to me is the price. Like, the cheaper the better.
Pay less.
So, yes. So, and, if they look cute also. If they're cute and they're cheap.
It's important to me, too.
Yeah.
With my Crocs.
Yeah. No, they're not cute. They're very not cute. So, currently, I'm going with the Rocket Dogs.
Yo.
Love it.
Time out. Do you have mine right now?
My Rocket Dog. Look how cute they are. They have little flowers on them.
I like
The dog on the bottom
Yes.
kind of looks like a capybara.
Oh,
Is that
yeah, like the largest rodent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like
Are
running.
you guys just acting like that's common knowledge? Oh
There's
yeah,
an
capybara.
Encanto. There's a whole song about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
I'm
that.
not
I mean, I
singing,
saw one at the zoo by us. He's really huge.
This is my favorite.
capybara.
So have you ever watched Encanto?
Oh my goodness, so many times.
Okay, there's a capybara in that. It like dances and sings
When?
in the one song that I'm trying to think of the name.
I know all of them.
Well, I don't know the
The
name.
opener where they introduce all the people.
Yeah, probably. The boy who has the animal gift. They like run across. They're like his little friends.
I
You're
know
going to
now.
have to go home and rewatch
Antonio,
it.
that's his name.
You literally just made that true for me. That's also the saddest song. Sorry, let's keep moving. I can talk about Encanto a long time. It's a great movie.
So good. Yeah.
Sorry.
My go-to shoe choice is Vans.
Bang.
I am a sucker for any shoe that's just really simple and black.
Always black.
Yeah.
Is that
Or brown leather.
Okay. Is that because of versatility?
Yeah.
I hear that.
All of my shoes are black, white, or brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can wear them with anything.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
I have a pair of Crocs that are glittery and fur lined.
Oh, no.
Those are also a vibe.
Did you buy those yourself?
This feels like a trap question, and I don't appreciate that.
With the the glittery fanny pack?
All right, let's move on. No, I did not buy them, but I do appreciate them a lot.
You wear them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think
Not out. That's probably an important detail. Like I'm not.
they're just like your house shoe.
Yeah, I was gonna wear them to the grocery store once, but my family told me that I couldn't. So
It's a wise choice.
so I don't do
Yeah.
that. It's community, It's just iron sharpens iron. Here we are.
I am trying to imagine this in my head, and I'm really struggling.
I'll wear them to church sometime if I can sneak them in my bag or something. Feels so sneaky. Yeah.
You could just hold them.
Yeah, but yeah. I should do that.
It's
Just bring them and display them.
No, I'm with that. I think we should do it.
keep them on your desk as a little decoration.
With a fanny pack. The matching fanny pack. Glitter.
We could customize ugly chair croc fanny pack glitter situation for you.
Stop it.
I'll make it happen.
Please.
I know a gal with a cricket.
Gal with a cricket.
Okay. So we're still talking about stress, and just like the overwhelming feeling of stress. So I'd love for us to go back into high school selves. Was there a time that you guys really either had to rely on someone, or someone relied on you when they were super stressed and overwhelmed by all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I shared on the last episode just a time in my life in high school where I was just overwhelmed emotionally and kind of going through some stuff. And at that time, I was at youth group one night, and the pastor of our church was there. He was just studying in his office, and I had walked by his office, and he noticed that I wasn't quite, all happy and excited to be there. And he just called me in and just asked, like, hey, how's it going? Are you doing okay? And he listened to me, and that was huge. And he just kind of showed compassion and care. And I think just those simple things that he did, just noticing and asking and listening, were huge. There wasn't much beyond that, but just knowing that someone cared, that I wasn't doing great, and cared enough to ask about it and come alongside a little bit just in that moment was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Similar thing, actually. I had a youth pastor growing up that pursued me at a couple different kind of points in my journey when I wasn't doing well. And he went out of his way to do that and make sure that I was okay. And I'm still grateful for that. And then another one that comes to mind, I have two brothers, and though certainly over the course of our growing up, there was tenseness in our relationship like siblings do. There was also moments that they were uniquely positioned in my life to give me support that they probably only could give.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one that I reflect on, and I'm just super, super grateful for that they stepped in that way. So,
yeah. I feel like I've had a lot of friends over the years who have just been like really good at noticing my stress and just letting me like kind of have it and deal with it. But there was one of my friends in high school who I was just like having probably like a rough month.
that's significant.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was during like track season. So we were like with each other pretty much like all throughout the day, and then in the like afternoon/evening. And I just remember her being like, hey, I know you don't like want me to do anything about you being stressed, but like if there's anything I can do, like let me know. And her just like saying that meant a lot. And then I think I like actually was like, if you could just like keep asking me that, like that would help.
And I think there's something to the posture that you just articulated there too, because it like really on two sides. One, I feel like when you have a friend and you're noticing something in them, you're like, something seems a little off. It can be hard to know what to say. But even just saying like, hey, I don't know exactly what you're going through. I also might just be reading it wrong. But if you need anything, if I can be helpful to you, I just need you to know that I'm here. And I think that's crazy helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I love that you kind of opened yourself up to say like, okay, yeah, I don't necessarily need anything right now, but like revisit it again, just don't forget and maybe reach out again, and I think that's huge as a friend coming alongside someone. It's easy to say, hey, if you need anything, let me know. But it's also really hard to reach out and let someone know when you need something. So, if you have that friend who actually does reach out again and say like, hey, I know we chatted about this before. I'm just checking in again and just letting you know, hey, I'm thinking about you and I'm here. If you need someone to talk to or, need me to run to Dunkin' and get you something,
absolutely,
I can do that too. Yeah.
All the time. Specifically the strawberry donut.
Strawberry.
Really? Their donuts aren't good, dude.
Whoa.
They're good.
No, they're not.
In high school,
don't get me started on this. Goodness gracious.
When someone walked in, if someone in high school walked up to me, gave me a iced coffee with a donut on the top. I could post it on Visco, look like the coolest girl around.
Awesome.
Would
I'm not-
cure
I'm-
depression.
I'm not done with this one over here. You're saying, you're telling me a Dunkin' Donuts your favorite donut?
I like it better than Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme donuts I do not like. I do not. I love Dunkin' Donuts chocolate cake donut. Is
sounds
amazing. It's amazing. And their munchkins. Have you ever had Krispy Kreme? Do they probably don't call them munchkins, but
I don't
they're
even know
little
the last time I
donut
ever
holes.
had Krispy Kreme.
They're bad.
I respect you, but I'm not sure about your taste. I'll just say that out loud.
So
And
harsh.
then we can move on. No.
Oh, goodness. So one of the things that I think all of us kind of said last episode was that when we're stressed, we tend to like isolate or just like be by ourselves. And I kind of want to like figure out like, why do we think we do that? Like we know that being around people or like our friends can support us. So like, why do we just retreat?
Yeah.
I think part of it is it's hard to let people see you at your weak points. You know, I think for me, I like to be seen as strong and competent. And so when I'm feeling really weak and not competent, I want to hide that from other people. Like it's just super vulnerable to share that side, because then there's that fear, you know, do they like me because I'm strong and able to do a lot of stuff, or are they really my friend? Are they really caring for me? And it's okay to be a mess with them and they'll still accept me.
Yeah. I think on the flip side, I am not necessarily afraid of how they might see me, but I'm afraid of what I might say that's going to like hurt the relationship when I'm stressed, because I am like really snappy. I'm like, I don't actually snappy, but also like I will just roast them if I'm stressed. And I don't want to do anything to like jeopardize that relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason I pull back so much.
Yeah. I think the only one that I would add, because I agree with both of yours, would be, I think when you're really stressed, at least for me, sometimes I don't even know what to say about what I'm feeling or how I'm thinking. And if I'm at that place, I almost feel like I need to do a little bit more processing before I'm able to start to kind of reveal that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's flawed thinking in the first place, but I think that's probably the motivation behind it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense too. I think another thing for me is I don't want to be too much for somebody else. I don't want to be a burden on somebody else. Like everybody has their stuff, you know, everybody has their stuff that they have to carry. I don't want to have to make somebody else carry my stuff. I should. And I think that's another thing, like the I shoulds. I should be able to carry this. I should be able to do it by myself. I should be able to, you know, be in all AP classes and a sport and a full-time job and still be totally fine.
And you shouldn't be able to do that.
No, you shouldn't. That is a lie.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of like reframing, because I even think like you not knowing how to process those feelings of like, I bet there's a person in your life who you would trust enough or is just good at like being able to verbally process. Like maybe they can help you kind of figure out like what you are feeling.
No, I agree with you. And then honestly, I mean, past that point, then it probably goes back again to what you were saying, Amy, of like, it makes me uncomfortable to need that way. Yeah. You know, like I don't want to be vulnerable like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a mess. So
yes, it's much easier to be there for somebody else and help somebody else. But then when you need to accept help, it's like, maybe I don't need that.
Resonate with that a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that like over the years people have been like, you're really good at stepping in and caring. Can you let someone care for you? And I'm like, no.
Well, and that's with that posture too. Like, we all express our stress in one way or another. So even in situations where we're bottling it up and we're bottling it up and we're bottling it up, that just means at some point you're probably going to explode. Yeah. Like people are still going to experience that. And I think it's about, you know, in part being able to be that support for others, but in the other part, like figuring out how other people can support you.
Yeah. So why do you think then we should allow people in? And like, what are the benefits of actually being able to lean on a friend or family when you are experiencing that kind of stress?
I think I'd add, and it's interesting because it's almost like a reframing of what we said before of, hey, I don't want to put my burden on you. But at the same time, I think everyone's wired to want to contribute to relationships and contribute to really whatever they're a part of. And when you open up to other people, you give them the opportunity to contribute relationally to your life in a way that builds relationships in a real healthy way.
That's so interesting. It just kind of reminded me, it jogged my memory of a friend in high school, or not in high school, actually in college. And he would say, don't rob me of this blessing. Don't rob me of this blessing of serving you and loving you in this way, you know. And it is interesting, you know, to think about how other people do want to contribute and support you in your time of need.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we don't necessarily want to burden people with those things, but I know, like, I've said to many of my friends, like, I don't want it to just be your burden. Like, it doesn't have to be just your burden. Like, you don't have to have it just being carried by you. Like, this is a thing that I can step in, or like your family can step in, or the rest of our friends. Like, we can help you through this because we weren't meant to do life alone.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we were, then it would be a really different situation, but we weren't.
There's something to the gift of, and this has definitely been true in my life when I've been in situations to help people bear things that were particularly heavy. Even though I wasn't in those seasons, I was kind of like partaking in them, like in that support role. All of the learnings that come up for that person of being in that highly stressed place are learnings that you can then adopt without being in the situation immediately. Like I remember walking with some folks that were like huge crisis, and like because of that, God is putting them in this unique position to like yield to him and to think with an eternal perspective. And it's like, okay, my circumstances wouldn't lend me to, partaking in those truths or those learnings the same way, but like I can benefit from that now because I'm seeing that in your life. And that's so incredibly helpful too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we neglect to think about even the experiences that our friends have already gone through.
True.
Of like, now that I know that you've kind of had that and you've learned about that, like now I can be like, hey, Caleb, like, let's talk about this. Because a lot of our friends have experienced those things and we just don't know how they've overcome it or dealt with it. And when we can kind of like step up and say like, hey, I need you to help me with this. Yeah. Or even step into those friends' lives and be like, I have experienced this myself. Yeah. Like, now let me walk with you through it. Totally. Because I have navigated it once before. We're not going to have the same feelings and emotions, but I think I might be able to, like, offer you some advice or some wisdom or just be a person who can listen, who's gone through it before.
Yeah, you can understand, you can empathize with what they're experiencing.
And it's interesting, too, because when you're in those situations to articulate the things that you've learned from hardship that you've experienced, I feel like that also, like, makes that learning concrete for you, too. Because it's one thing to like process that internally, but to be able to explain that to someone else causes you to think about it a different way. I think in a more detailed, helpful way. That's cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you guys do? So if one of your friends comes up to you and they're like, hey, I'm super stressed. Like, I don't even know what to do. Life is overwhelming. Everything feels like it's crumbling. Just all the things that I always say all the time. Like, what are some of the things that you guys would then do in that situation? Like, how do you help your friend?
Yeah. I think just your presence is huge. You know, I think we underestimate just being with someone, you know, and sometimes I hesitate to go into situations that there just are no words for, you know, like I can't say anything that's going to make this situation better, honestly, but I can be there with you. I can sit with you. I can listen to you as you vent, and I can let you know that I still care and that I'm going to be here walking alongside you throughout this, you know? And so I think just your presence, even if you don't have answers, because a lot of times people don't want answers to what they're going through. You know, they just want someone to to be with,
Yeah.
to be with and for them to listen and show their support in that way. So I think just presence is huge.
Can we even lean into that point a little bit more? I think sometimes when we're in those situations of being supports for people, we feel like we need to solve the problem. And oftentimes that's the thing I was going to say, like, that's a dumb thing to do. That sounds really insensitive, but like, oftentimes, like, you just need to ask a bunch of questions and just let people start to kind of get out what's going on and kind of process through it. And that's the most loving thing that you can do for people. There's times for advice. I'm not saying there's not times for advice, but oftentimes when you have a friend that's in that immediate place of like, I'm just like, I don't even know. It's like, okay, cool. Like, presence, let me be here with you. But then also, like, let me start to ask some questions so that you can start to put words to what you're experiencing.
Yeah. And it's kind of like what you were mentioning before, Caleb. When you're in a place of stress and you just feel like, I need to get away so I know what's going on. Having that friend who can ask some key questions is huge because it helps you to process and to put yourself, just in a better mind space with the situation that you're experiencing too.
Yeah. And they might verbalize like, I do need you to fix this situation or help me fix it. Or like, I do not want you to try to fix this situation.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who, if I'm going through anything, will just immediately be like, I can fix this problem.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want you to fix my problem. Like it's my problem. I just need you to be there when I vent.
Yeah, literally, I got a text message from a friend yesterday, and they were kind of explaining a situation that they're working through. And in my response, I was like, hey, so like, I think I know what I would do in this situation, and then I went on to say something else. And then the reply to me from that text is like, I want to hear exactly what you would do in the situation. It's like, okay, cool. So like, you're going to invite that feedback then, and then I can give it. But I think sometimes we're too quick to give it. And, as long as you have the relationship with the person, like, it'll get there.
Yeah. And I mean, you can even ask, like, you can come right out and be like, hey, do you want me to listen and just like support you in this? Or do you want us to brainstorm and figure out like, what can we do in this situation? Yeah. And I think people can be honest and say, you know what? I just want you to listen.
Totally.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best like responses that I've ever had with some of my friends when I've walked through situations of when I've asked the question of like, what do you need me to do?
Yeah.
Like, do you need me to just be here? Do you need me to like go to all the places that you have to go to fix this problem? Like, what is my role? Because you're inviting me into your stress, and now how am I navigating it with you?
Well, and I think in a world too where all information is so easily accessible, everyone knows how to find a quick answer. Oftentimes when you're going to a friend, it's because you want the friendship, the relationship, right? Like, I can Google just about anything and get an expert's opinion on whatever I'm handling, but I need somebody that knows me and cares about me right now.
Yeah. So how do you think, because I think there's a lot of people that don't really like get stressed, and they're just kind of like, like it's just what it is, and they're like really easygoing. So if that's the friend and someone comes up to them and is super stressed, like how can that person really help their friend navigate through stress when they have no idea what it's like?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people that don't have any experience with anxiety. So when people come up to them and they're like, I'm super anxious, they're like, I have no idea what that feels like.
But that sounds really bad.
Like,
yeah.
So like, how do you do that with stress?
Yeah. I think like someone who's not typically stressed or not anxious, I feel like a gut response is like, hey, relax, just calm down. Everything's going to be okay. And I think
tell me to relax.
Yeah, that like, that totally, that just does the exact opposite of, the response that you want. So one of my big recommendation is don't say that. Don't ever say that. Don't be like, what's the big deal? Just relax, calm down, because you don't understand and you're not in their shoes and you don't know what they're going through. And, so I would avoid saying that and be a listener.
Yeah. And honestly, I would almost even challenge the statement a little bit to, I'm skeptical that there's someone out there that just doesn't experience stress. Like, they probably externalize it differently. They probably process through it differently. So like, I would think that even if you're dealing with a friend that expresses stress in a very different way, you still have the common ground of dealing with the hardships at different levels. And there's probably some help that you can bring there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it kind of goes back to like what we've been saying this whole time of like ask the questions.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes just being able to be like, what does stress feel like to you? What does stress look like?
Yeah.
Like how is that? And just being honest and being like, yeah, I don't experience that. So like walk me through it. Like what's going on inside of your head and like how is that changing your day to day?
Yeah, I love that. It's like being curious about the other person.
Yep.
And you know, that's huge to letting someone know, oh wow, you care.
Yeah. And even along those lines, I was just talking to a group of guys about this at HSM one of the nights, but like we had someone in the group that was navigating something pretty profound, and we were talking through the best way to respond, and they were like, well, we don't really know what to do, but we definitely really care. And I was like, hey, like, here's the thing. If y'all just stay in this loop of I care, but where you're not actually going to do anything, like that care is not expressed, and then it won't be received. So actually taking this step to ask questions, even if it's something smaller, to do the check-in, even because it feels small, or be the presence, even though you might not have the exact words, is still the right step to take.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to say, I don't know what to do in this situation, because, you know, some things are just not cut and dry. There's not a simple solution.
Yeah, there's a ton of situations I've had with friends where, again, they'll be going through something profound, and like, I'm just like, that sucks.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. And then we could just sit in it together.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a period of time where that's appropriate. Can't stay there forever. You know, at some point you got to figure out how to move forward. But sometimes even that validation, I think, can go a long way.
Yeah. So I feel like we've done a lot of like, you're the friend that someone comes up to when they're stressed. So for us, if you're the one who is stressed, how do you go up to your friend, or the people that you just like need to lean on? Like what kind of does that look like?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the context of the relationship. I think it's important that in your relationships, particularly your closer ones, to establish a thread within the relationship that like that question doesn't feel like it's out from left field. Like even just establishing like, hey, like I got you, you got me, like, and you know, when times get difficult, like we're going to be there for each other. Even having like a small conversation like that before you even get to the point where, so you don't need to play the mental game of like, how do I approach? And it could just be like, hey dude, I'm struggling. Can we just like grab coffee? Can we talk about this further? So
Yeah. And I think sometimes you're in a space where you're really struggling and you're not, you know, you don't really want to talk to anybody in the moment, but you just need to let someone know I'm struggling. And I think, you know, sending out a text like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm struggling. I'm not in a place that I really want to talk about it right now, but I want to be able to let somebody in, as hard as it is, to see my vulnerability and to be kind of a support to me in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably if your friendships are built on honesty and like transparency, it's just going to feel natural. But if you don't have a friend that is like that, there's probably at least someone in your life, if it's a parent, or if it's like a group leader at HSM, like there's probably someone that you feel like you can just say, hey, like life is a little rough right now. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, and that even goes into how you make friends a little bit. Because, like, if in the beginning part of a friendship, you start to kind of tip your hand as to what you're going through or how you think, or you're just trying to reveal more who you are, and that's not met with support and care, like, okay, it's probably not a relationship that's worth continuing to cultivate.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, you know, just finding those people that are safe to be vulnerable with, you know, because you share something with someone who's not a safe person, and it can often make things a lot worse, you know? And so finding those people that have built trust, have earned trust, and have proven, they're a friend that I can rely on.
Yeah, just because they're willing to hang out, or even because they're fun to be around, doesn't necessarily mean it's great friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. And even knowing, you know, is this someone who talks about people behind their back, you know, because I'm going to share something that's really personal.
No, that's a
and
good
so are they going to share it with people that I don't necessarily want to share it with, you know? And so having that history with someone, you kind of know what kind of person they are and if they can be trusted.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Because I think it's easy to just want to hang out with someone because, like, oh, they play the same video game as I do, so we're just, like, always on the calls together, or, we're on the same sports team, but they're always talking about that one girl, and just don't know how to even approach it. So
if friendship is just common interest, that's a pretty shallow friendship.
Yeah. And it's knowing the right person to talk to at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you guys for having this conversation. I hope it wasn't stressful.
Yeah. Can I just add one more
Yeah.
thing? Just thinking about a friend coming alongside and supporting someone else. Sometimes you come alongside someone to support them and it's too heavy for you. So I guess I just want to encourage students that if you're in a situation like that you're trying to support somebody else, but it's really hard for you to carry that it is okay for you to ask for support from somebody else, and in situations like that, don't feel like you need to carry it all by yourself, that there are other people that can support you even in carrying other people's burdens.
So glad you said that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Once again, if you feel like it's something that you have a friend that needs to hear, or even a family member, someone who's just navigating what it looks like to talk about stress with other people, or is being the person that is constantly being the one who's navigating it with their friends, make sure you share it with them, and we will see you again soon.